Have you ever wondered where your food comes from? The way we eat has changed more in the last 10 years than in the previous 10,000. If you look at the images depicted on our food, it is still pictures of the agrarian America. The reality is that our food comes from factories, from multinational corporations that tell farmers how to farm and what to farm. The whole industrial food system began with fast food. McDonald's was the revolutionary change that brought the assembly line to restaurants. Large-scale food companies want large quantities of food. Other large companies supply them. The largest want for a product is the want for meat. Only 3 or 4 companies are in total control of our meat. Tyson's is one of these large meat companies. Chicken is one of the most demanded meat products. Most farmers who grow chickens are under contract with a meat company. Every chicken house a farmer builds costs $280,000 to $300,000, plus the cost for upgrades that these companies demand each year. When the farmer only makes $18,000 a year, they owe more and more to the company they are under contract with. Owing this much, the farmer is pretty much a slave to the company. A farmer in Missouri tells her story. The chickens I have grow to maturity very quickly. Their bones and internal organs can't keep up with their body's growth, and so most of the chickens can only take 3 to 4 steps at a time before they have to lie down. It's a sad way to live. Add crowded conditions, no sunlight, and animal abuse, and you'll know what a chicken's life consists of. Corn is another highly subsidized product. 30% of America's land is being used to plant corn. Government legislation allows it, and this allows farmers to produce corn below the cost of production. The truth is that these farmers are being paid to overproduce, and it is caused by the large multinational industries. The government allows this to happen because the industries use all this money to lobby the government. An estimated 90% of all food you see in stores contain a byproduct of corn. According to the Concentrated Animal Feeding Operation, or CAFO, we feed cows corn because it makes cows really fat and it's really cheap. The flip side is that research has shown that a corn diet will result in E. coli in cows. E. coli also occurs due to the cow standing in ankle-high manure all day. Again, take in consideration for close quarters, few slaughterhouses, and underpaid workers, and you have a recipe for E. coli pandemics. In 1998, the USDA implemented microbial testing for Salmonella and E. coli. The idea was that if a plant repeatedly failed these tests, that they would be shut down, since they obviously had a contamination problem. The Meat and Poultry Associations immediately took the USDA to court. The court basically ruled that the USDA didn't have the authority to shut down the plants. A new law was introduced to court afterwards that would give the USDA back the power to shut down the plants 6 years ago. It still has not passed. So far, it seems as though companies are always looking for more efficient ways to produce. They have invented a system, and instead of changing the system, they just come up with high-tech fixes so the system survives. Each year, new outbreaks of E. coli cases spread around the world, some cases resulting in death. The E. coli has not only been found in meat, but also plants such as spinach. It has been shown that if the cows were fed grass for just 7 days before being slaughtered, they would shed up to 80% of the E. coli in their gut. Instead, chemicals such as ammonia and/or ammonia hydroxide baths are being implemented to cleanse the meat being produced and packaged. BPI is a company that uses the chemical baths. Their meat is 70% of what is sold and bought in the U.S. In 5 years, it is estimated that they will be the seller of 100% of all meat bought here. Again, the most inexpensive products are those that are made using corn, examples being items with high fructose corn syrup and also those with items with soybean in them, such as chips and soda. Compare the cost of bad calorie items, the chips and soda, to healthy foods like vegetables, and you will see which is cheaper. So why is this? These bad calories are the ones being heavily subsidized. There is such a great demand that they are being overproduced, therefore their prices are very low. Sugar intake is also very great in the U.S. All the sugar consumption causes shocks to our systems and it wears down our body. Since 2000, 1 in 3 Americans will contract early onset diabetes, according to the World Health Organization. Among minorities, this rate is 1 in 2. Company researchers are the inventors of the genetically modified uses of corn. We have the companies to thank for these low-priced foods that ruin the poor man's health. Let's jump back to the slaughterhouses. Tar Heel, North Carolina is home to the largest slaughterhouse in the world. Tar Heel is a very economically depressed community. This company has a reputation of having the same attitude towards the workers as towards the hogs slaughtered there. They are temporary. If the workers complain, they will be fired. 100 years ago, slaughterhouses were the most dangerous and worst places to work. By the 1950s, it was much safer and had many benefits. That is, until the companies got bigger. They soon changed the work to an assembly line type of job, and is once again the most dangerous job to work in. Being such, many minorities are hired here. In 1994, the NAFTA trade agreement went into effect, putting millions of Mexican corn growers out of work. Soon, U.S. companies put out ads for workers in Mexico to work for the meatpacking industries. They also provided busing for them as well. In short, the companies were hiring illegal aliens to work for them. Soon, immigration began cracking down. However, the workers were the ones being antagonized, not the companies that hired them. In fact, the companies cut a deal with the government immigration. Immigration could arrest the illegal aliens, but only 15 individuals at a time. This way, the company wouldn't have to shut down. Monsanto is another super corporation which has its main headquarters in St. Louis, Missouri. Monsanto produced items such as DDT, Agent Orange, and then a weed killer called Roundup. They then went on to produce a genetically modified type of soybean which is resistant to the Roundup. When the Supreme Court ruled that one was allowed to patent life in the 1980s, Monsanto patented the soybean. In 1996, Monsanto began selling these patented soybeans. At the time, only 2% of soybeans bought in the U.S. were Monsanto's patented soybeans. By 2008, over 90% of soybeans in the U.S. were Monsanto's. Monsanto has now grown so large that they have private investigators, as well as a 1-800 hotline for people to call in any suspicious farming activity. Saving Monsanto's soybean seed or claiming their own seed can result in the company suing the farmer. Even if the seed from one farm blows into a neighboring farm, the neighboring farm can still be held accountable. There are many people who have been connected to Monsanto that have become government officials. An example would be Clarence Thomas, a former Monsanto attorney now appointed Supreme Court Justice. Thomas was judge in the court case that made it illegal for farmers to save their own seed. Donald Rumsfeld, John Ashcroft, and Mickey Cantor are all other examples. This would explain why there hasn't been much political debate over this radical change in our food system. Even members of the FDA have been Monsanto's employees at one time. Examples would include Linda Fisher, Michael Taylor, Wendell Murphy, and Margaret Miller. Scary fact is that it does not take a lot to cause shock to the food industry. Rises in prices of oil can cause food prices to soar. Somehow this system will fail, and it's just a guess as to what will cause it to do so. And a couple things you could do to not support these large corporations, companies, industries would be to go to a farmer's market. Usually the farmer's independent and he's just selling a small portion of food. And another thing you could do is probably buy organics. You can go to Walmart and buy organics, and this will help not support these large corporations. So thank you.